All right, let's dive into something that I think we can all agree we love dreaming about: travel. But we're not just going to talk about where to go next. Nope. We're going to explore how to make our trips better. Better for us and better for the places we visit. So let's get into it. First things first, let me ask you a question. Just take a second and really think about it. Where on this earth do you feel your absolute happiest? Yeah, if you just imagined yourself on top of a mountain, or maybe on a busy street in a city you've never been to, or even just on a quiet beach somewhere, well, you are definitely not alone. There's just this magic that happens when we're out exploring, right? A special kind of joy you just don't get anywhere else. But here's the catch. Billions, literally billions of us share this passion. And all that love, that collective urge to see the world, is putting a ton of pressure on the very places we love the most. So, just how big are we talking? Well, the scale of modern tourism is, honestly, it's kind of mind-boggling. To give you an idea, let's look at some of the numbers. I've even set this up like a little quiz, so play along and see how you do. Okay, first question. Any guesses? What country do you think gets the most visitors every single year? You thinking maybe the US, Italy, somewhere in Asia? And the answer is France. A whopping 87 million people visit France every single year. I mean, just think about that. That's more than the entire population of a country like Germany, all visiting France every year. And Spain is right there with them, pulling in a massive 82 million visitors. It's just a lot of people. All right, on to the next one. Let's talk money. Which country's travelers spend the most cash when they're out exploring the world each year? And this one might just surprise you. The numbers here are absolutely wild. Chinese tourists spend over $250 billion a year. That is almost double what American tourists spend, and they're in second place. It just goes to show you the massive economic engine that tourism has become. So, what does all this mean? Well, these huge numbers have real-world consequences. Let's take Venice. In its historic center, there are about 50,000 residents, but it gets over 30 million visitors a year. Can you imagine that? It puts this incredible strain on everything: the infrastructure, the local culture, you name it. And this is what it can look like. A moment that's supposed to be about breathtaking beauty at a natural wonder can feel more like rush hour traffic. And trying to explore a historic city feels less like a discovery and more like you're fighting your way through a crowded mall. That's not really what travel should be about, is it? Not for us, and definitely not for the people who call these places home. But look, it doesn't have to be this way. There is absolutely a better way to do this, a way that's more fulfilling and, frankly, more sustainable. So let's talk about how we can do better. Let's go through 6 simple rules for being a good tourist. It all really boils down to this one powerful idea: social responsibility. It's about changing our mindset, you know? Instead of being just a consumer on vacation, we act more like a guest in someone's home. It means we think about our impact and we try to make it a positive one by respecting the people and the places we visit. So, how do we actually do this? Well, it can start way before you even pack. Think about where and when you go. Maybe instead of Venice for Carnival, you try a smaller festival, like the one in NC, or travel in the off-season. That can make a world of difference. Then, when you're there, it's about making a real connection. Get off the beaten path. Explore beyond the main tourist spots. Do a little homework. Learn about the local customs. And hey, learn to say hello and thank you. It's amazing how far that goes. And of course, the simple stuff. Leave the place as clean as you found it. Now, beyond these big rules, being a better traveler is also about knowing yourself and what you really want from a trip. And that brings up one of the great travel debates. Is it better to go solo or with other people? You kind of have two camps, right? You've got the solo travelers like Molly and Nikki, who just love that feeling of total freedom, of being able to go wherever they want, whenever they want. But then you've got people like Dan and Osed, who feel like those amazing experiences and the memories you make are just so much richer when you share them. Look, there's no right answer here, of course, but just being intentional about it, that's a huge part of being a more mindful traveler. So as we start to wrap this up, the point isn't to give you some rigid new checklist. It's really about sparking a new mindset for every adventure you plan from this point forward. You've probably heard this quote before, but it just nails it, doesn't it? It's the absolute heart of traveling responsibly. The whole idea is to come home full of new stories and experiences while leaving the places you visited just as amazing as they were when you got there. So, I'll leave you with this. The next time you're dreaming up that big trip, just take a second and ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do to travel a little differently this time? Because trust me, every single one of those small changes can and does add up to a world of difference.